Welcome back. Today what we're going to do is we're going to put everything back together, and then we'll do a, but first of all let's look at our board to see what we had done so that we can kind of explain it a little bit here. What we had found was that the Zener diode was bad, and that the driver, the TIP31 I do believe, was bad, is what we come up with. And these were the original parts here. That was one of the originals, and that was the other original. And then we went ahead and replaced the capacitor. Even though the 220 microfarad wasn't bad, it's one of them things in electronics people do nowadays. They make sure that they replace the capacitors. And so I'm hoping that we explain a little bit how we check the diode. The diode should check in one direction and not the other. And this one checks in both directions. It actually opens up to 0, which is what they call infinity. So this diode was bad, which probably shorted out the driver. Because, well, I don't even know if it's on the driver's side. But anyway, whatever it did, it shorted that out. So now I'm not still thinking that may not still be bad, that transistor, but yeah, we'll replace it anyway. We've got the newer style replacement in there. So those are 3 components I changed: the diode, the transistor, and the capacitor. And the capacitor, like I said, just did that. Well, I just did that just to do that. So today we're going to go ahead and install it. So it took me a little while to find out what I wanted to do. It's the drill. We got to open up some holes, but there's the drill, even though that looks kind of crummy. I found some black screws that I think will look just fine in there. We're going to reheat sink. We're going to heat sink the back of this, so that heat sinks to this. That will just give us a good, good transfer of heat. And we're going to go ahead and take some Scotch-Brite now. Right, what we're doing, and we're going to go ahead and clean this bottom up. And basically, I want to clean this bottom up, just to make sure we got a good clean surface. It's still kind of dirty in there. We might take real quick, I've got a paintbrush or a toothbrush, we may go in here and just clean some of the dust. So let's just do that while we're at it. So we'll take a little bit of a paintbrush here, and basically I just take it, just kind of work it around. Okay, just kind of work it around in here, just kind of get some of the dust cleaned up. I mean, this thing's been around forever. It's my dad's original. Well, I'll tell you what we can do right now. Let's go ahead and slide our stuff back a little bit. Let's go ahead and take this front apart, and let's go ahead and unscrew that, and then we'll take I thought about replacing this breaker because it's really not quick enough. A fuse would be better because fuse is quicker, and I thought about replacing it with a fuse. So like a 3 or 4 amp fuse. It's a 5 amp. I think it's a 5 amp breaker, I do believe, if I remember right. So let's pull that out. So we'll take our paintbrush and we'll come in here and we'll break up some of this stuff up right here. Yep. And then what we'll do is we'll take our air, which I should have sitting right around the little corner here, and we'll take this so we don't blow things around here. We'll take this off here. I'm going to take it off camera. So. Alright, that looks much better. Much better. Looks a little bit cleaner inside. So I'll take my Scotch-Brite. I got a newer one here. I'm just going to run it around in here just to kind of clean up. I want to make sure that we got a good heat sink. I would always, if I were you, if you're going to work with these older power supplies, I would definitely clean that up. Make sure we got a good clean surface for the heat sink compound. So actually this needs to go back over. I've got proper place for everything, and I move things and I can't find it. So anyway, so now I'm going to switch the breaker around. I'm going to put the contacts at the bottom, because if you look at the contacts, I don't know why they've got the contacts on the top, but I put the contacts on the bottom, and when I put stuff up in here, let's see here, see, it stays away from anything. It's going to, I don't like it at the top, so we're going to do that. Normally what I would do is heat sink compound that, but we're away from the board enough that I'm not concerned about it, and we're not, and so I think we're all right there. So, but what I am going to do here real quick, I am going to clean some of the dust off there, because sometimes dust on this stuff here can cause it to short out. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and put this back in, back in the, we're going to turn the leads away down to the bottom, and I might even give just a little twist to keep it away from everything. And we'll go ahead and put our cap back on. I don't think the factory put the cap on exactly straight because it was awful tough to get off. Actually, just flip this around here. Oh, okay, so I make sure I push record. Sometimes I may be doing all this stuff and have to tear it back apart, which I don't. I always like to do it to take my videos the first shot. It's always tricky to get this damn thing lined up just right so it starts. So let's put it back around the other way. I'm tired of messing with that. There we go. There we go. We'll give it just a little twist there too. Yeah, something is just not right on this plastic on this, because it was, the nut was sitting crooked. I took it off and it's sitting crooked now, which is very funny. I don't know if it's just something, if the breakers is busted or what. So we're gonna give it just a little twist there. We'll see, and we'll see if it'll mess with it. All right, you don't want to go too tight because that is all plastic. It also gives you the information on the top as well. So let's go back in. Let's see how this is going to look if I put all this back in where it belongs. I'll tell you what, they didn't leave you much wire. I'll be honest with you. They really didn't. To mount this back to where it belongs, but that's where they said it was, so that's where it is. There we go. I put the wires down towards the bottom. This wire here go down towards the bottom. There we go. Alright. So okay, so now we've got everything lined up good. So we know, if you look here, it's hard to see, but if you look, the screw holes are lined up in there. So now we know how we're going to set it. We're going to go ahead and pull it, and I'm going to put a little bit of heat sink compound in here, right. It's like that old commercial when I was a kid, you know, crash them up, shoot them up, crash up derby, I think is what the stuff was, and put it all back together again. It comes with everything you see right here. So anyway, so there's that. So now I found some screws. Let's see if these screws here will fit. Now granted, it's going to be tricky, so we're going to do the back one first, because I'm going to have to find some way of holding that nut on before they rivet it. And I had thought about re-riveting it, and then I changed my mind. So let's see here. Let's see if these screws will fit through that hole, and they will not. So, all right. So now I got to find me some screws that actually will fit in that hole. I'll be back. Alrighty, I'm back. The screws I had were just too big, so I had to go find some screws, and I didn't want to do that way too, because you never know how long that's going to take. So what we're going to do here is something I've always kind of done a little bit of, and these nuts here are what's going to be, the screws are going to go up. And so what I'm going to do here, what I've always kind of done, I've always taken just a little bit of tape. If I got some tape here, I got to find tape now. I knew I was going to do this, and so I'm going to take a little tape here. And normally what I do is I line that up and I tape that. I can get to the one, but the one I can't get to, I'll have to tape. So let's go ahead and tape that while I'm thinking about it here. Alright, so basically, and it's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to go in there, and then we're going to see if we can, hopefully we can pull it out, pull it back where it belongs. So we'll see if this works. Alright, there's that. Let me get some stuff off of me here. Alright, so hopefully that should hold that in. So I'm going to go ahead and set that in where it belongs. Everything goes underneath. And I'm going to take this screw here. I'm going to go to the back. I'm going to line my hole up without pushing. Just want to grab that nut. Okay. I think we've grabbed that nut. Basically, you're going to turn it until it goes in. Now, granted, unfortunately, the nut will probably come loose, because I don't have a lock nut. I know we should probably use a lock nut in there, but unfortunately I didn't want to have to fight both of those. So I'm thinking really for what little this thing gets used. See, and that's what holds that in. It's just a little piece of tape will do that. And then what you do is, you see this, the hole down there, the screw. So we're going to just hold it with a pair of pliers and screw that down. And we ain't going to go too tight because we got to run our next screw in, which is the other. They're not as pretty. These screws aren't, but I had longer ones. I wanted something shorter. And now this here may be acting like that, but technically it'll be alright. So now I need to, that is this screw here, I need to loosen up, let this thing move around a little bit. Alright, then what I'll do is on this one, take my finger here, see now we've got it where we want it. I'll just take my finger and just hold that screw. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and screw that in. Yeah, I was kind of leery about not putting lock nuts on there, but I was thinking, and I could have put some type of locking compound on the threads, which I do have, but that'll be alright. It ain't like it's getting that much high pressure, high use, so I'm not worried about that as much. But anyway, there that is now. Now, what I always do at this point now, we're going to run us a test. I'll go ahead and tuck my wire back in that little thing that held the wire in. Okay, but we're going to run us a little test. We haven't soldered our leads in yet, so let me get those over where they belong. Okay, we haven't did that yet. But now I want to see, make sure we don't pop a breaker. If the breaker pops, then we got a short. Lights on, so we don't have a short. See, the light's dim, but it's there. That's just how those are. So anyway, that's good. So now we'll go ahead and we'll solder our connectors on. What I would like to do is pull them up from the bottom. So what we're going to do, I'm going to come down. I'm going to take my pliers here and heat my hole up. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. Heat my hole up. You gotta get it to, there we go. Alright, hold on for a minute. See, I don't like scripting anything. I like doing it this way. This way, whatever mistakes I make, then you know not to make next time. You know, I did multiple takes and did it perfectly, but I'm just not going to do that. So that one's in there. And so what I'm going to do here now, I'll take my pliers here and I'll bend it over. There we go. Same with this. Same with the negative. Now I got to watch because it's probably still got power through that capacitor, which it really shouldn't because the diode should drain it. The LED, my fault, should drain it. Hopefully I'm still in the frame. Let's make sure I'm still in the frame. So, what I used as far as the screws go is I used a number 8 screw. Number 8, I do believe. And actually, sorry, I'll tell you here in a minute. Number 8 or number 6 screw. I have, okay, so I'm going to get that up there. There we go. And once it cools down, I'll, whoop, okay. We're going to touch up solder this anyway. Alright, that's back in. And then we'll go ahead and bend this. Okay, remember when they built this stuff, they built it so that they could get into it and repair it. So, alright, so there we go. Now, we've got all the screws bent. Let me get this around. The cord's getting kind of thin because I've wrapped it around here so many times. So now, we're just going to touch up the solder. Make sure we got a good solder joint. Positive is on that side, negative on that side. Make sure you got your polarity right. Because if you don't, then you're going to have a problem. Alright, there's that one. And I hope my head's not in there, because if not, you're going to see a bald head, and I don't think I shaved my head this morning. Well, it's not bald then, if I didn't shave it. So, looked like that one slid down, so let me make sure this one here is up where it belongs. Oh, no, I didn't. That didn't. Alright. Anyway, so there's our fresh solder. So now everything there should be correct. I did pull some lock washers out, but I didn't think it was going to work that well. So, alright, so we'll tuck all of our wires down here. Make sure they're down. And thing is, I'm running a screw now, so I've got to be real careful. I don't want to skim across those wires and cause a short, because I'm going to put a screw in here. And I found screws I'd like, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of make them go away. Thing is, I don't like about, I wish they would not have just soldered those, they would have heat shrinked them or something, you know. But they didn't, so what it is what it is, you know. I always figure. Alright, just making sure that they're away from that screw we're going to put in. So now, these screws here will be just fine in here, but we're going to have to open up the case just a little bit because they're not going to slide in the case that easy. And we want them to slide in the case. So, what I found is, I must have rammed this in a thing of caulking at one time because I was going to use something overnight. So we're going to use this drill, believe it or not, to open that hole up. Let me get my drill here. Alright. And we're going to open those holes up just a little bit. Just so the screw will slide in there. So, and it's aluminum, so it should go pretty quick. So, and you can do that. I have a milling machine. Well, this drill bit may not be big enough to do what I want to do, but I may have to find us a bigger drill bit. We'll find out here in a minute. Let's see what we got here. And if it still ain't big enough, I'll have to find us a bigger screw. And it's so close, so close. So let me see if I can find us another screw here. Okay, I'm back. And I think I remember, I said screw smaller. I meant or bigger, or small, whatever I said. But actually, I mean a drill bit bigger. So, alright, let's go back in here and let's open these up. Alright, it's aluminum, so it doesn't take that whole lot. It ain't going to hurt you if it goes through and gets bites or something. Alright, let's see and make sure our screw will go through there, but it doesn't affect our head. And it doesn't. A little bigger than I like it to be, but hey, what can I tell you? Couldn't find any other drill bits that were that size. Hold on. Alright, let's continue drilling our hole here. That'd be a good blooper reel. Okay, another one. Alrighty. So we went ahead and drilled that off. So now our should be big enough for our screws to fit in. Yes, perfect. Just so you know, I went off and had paused the camera again and went and found me a drill bit that wasn't as big. So I got one hole bigger than I'd like it to be, but that's alright. So that's alright for what we're doing here. Alright, so now what I want to do is got to make sure there's no burr on the inside. And that don't like there's a little bit there. So what I used to have a deburring tool, and I might still have it here. Let me see if I still got my deburring tool here. Here it says yes. Yep, right there it is. Alrighty, and then we'll just run a little deburring tool. It's really just a countersink I sharpen to take care of burrs. And I still got burr right there. And you just take your hand and just work the burr off. There we go. See, there's no burr there. And we'll come back on this side here and put it down in there and just kind of give us a little, just take some of the burr off. There's no burr on the top edge because we went through, but it's only on the back edge. So, alright. 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 So now we can go ahead and put our thing on. So here's our front of our, and I had still thought about replacing the wire. We see, if you notice, I twisted that so now that that's away from anything, and actually I can go ahead and set the thing up. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and slide our cover on. Alright, let's go up here to the edge. Alright, and let's take our screw, and I would normally use the driver bit, but since I've got wires there, these are aggressive screws, so I'm going to use that just to kind of, now, what I want to see now, I'm going to pull this up here just for a minute. I want to pull that cover back off on this side here, and let's see if, make sure we didn't nip a wire. That's the only problem with this type of screws, they like to nip wire. So what I'm going to do, it's tucked down now, I'm going to bring it up. Now it should keep us away. That should, and then like it didn't hit nothing, so we're good. Alright, so let's go put our cover back on. And put the screw back in. And always use a hand, never use an electric drill on this, because you don't know what you're going to damage you might cause if you you know, I mean, if you don't do it properly. So we'll line that one up. Okay. A lot of people I've seen, see like this one here, we're going to have to take the cover off. I just now see there's wires sitting there, so we got to make sure there's wires. Since we are using bigger screws. Before they riveted it, and I could re-rivet it, and I had thought about it, re-riveting everything, but I just don't think I want to start doing that. So, all right, so make sure that these will go. Okay, so I'm thinking we're fine. All right, we pull those wires down out of the way. You don't want anything around them screws, I know that much. So we'll put our screw back in here. Go ahead and start our screw back in here again. I had to pull those wires. You could see the wires sitting right at that screw hole, which didn't make any difference when you had a rivet, but since we actually let's go ahead and line this up right. There we go. Almost perfect. Almost perfect. Alrighty. If I could have found shorter screws, I surely would have done so, but unfortunately, I didn't have anything shorter. Alrighty, and that, just make sure that everything looks good, make sure that's where it belongs. That looks good. Okay. And this side here, I'm not worried about screws because I don't think there's any screws over here. On the transistors, I'm not pro on transistors at all, but I do know the HFE is, you want a number there. You don't want anything bouncing around or anything, you know, I mean, you want a number on that HFE. Like that one was just bouncing around and it just wasn't doing right. So I knew that wasn't good. So that's why I was kind of, you know, suspecting that one might have been bad. So, all right. So now what we'll do is we'll do a final test. And we can do a final test on that. So let's go ahead and turn our auxiliary on. Turn the power on. The LED is on. This LED is not very bright, never has been. Some people would probably say, won't you retro that, put a blue LED in there? Well, I try to keep my stuff original. This is my dad's. I didn't want to change it too much. I mean, I had to, of course, you know, put screws in where there was other, but as far as that goes, I didn't want to change it. Didn't want to change it too much. So what we're going to do here now, we're going to put the connectors back, and these connectors have been on here forever. And I'm going to do just something a little different. Usually I would put a crimped end on here, and I may still do that, but I'm going to cut the wire down. Believe it or not, I used this thing for the longest time before I've got a variable power supply over here, but I used this for the longest time for my stuff, for doing stuff like that, but don't use it much anymore. Like I said, I was going to use this for I'm working on a camper, which I'm going to give you a video on eventually. And make a long story short, I was going to use this to power his LED lights in there because it's super regulated, obviously. Probably didn't have to use it, but right now we're using a jump start, which is fine, but the problem is the jump start battery is going bad, which is actually the second battery I put on that. But it was my father-in-law, so I just revamped it and stuff. What we're going to do is we're going to tin this wire. I'm going to put this all back on, and we're going to test it on, put our light bulb test back in there. Let's see where that all. The only bad thing about tinning wires, it makes them brittle. I'm off camera, I know, but that's okay. I'm off camera. Shouldn't have been off camera, so I can show you how to tin wire. But I'm sure people watching this is probably already watching it, probably knows all about that stuff. And so let's put this up here. All right, and let's go ahead and let's give us just a slight bend on our negative here. Okay, and a slight bend on our positive here. So you want the wire loop, and I see this happen in electricity and homes, you want the wire loop to go the direction the screw's tightening. So when this is tightening down, you want that to go down. You want it to go the same direction. Same with all of them. I've done my fair share of house wiring, and I'm teaching these kids how to do stuff, and they always want to put the wire going the opposite direction that the screw's twisting. Well, that doesn't make a good connection to begin with. I messed this one. Well, actually, I can probably leave it there. You want the loop on electrical wiring to go this loop the way the screw's tightening. So that makes it a really good connection there. All right, there's that one. Okay. All right, so now our wires are on there, and so that should make us a good connection there. So now what we're going to do is, let's just give me my light bulb again. I see we got the outer clips on there now. So, all right, so we're going to put. That don't make a difference on the light bulb. This light bulb is going bad anyway. It's been going bad for a long time. All right, and I did it opposite. All right, so we're going to turn the power on. We look up. Here's the power. We're going to turn it on, and well, what do we do here? Oh, duh. Here we go. Ta-da! The regulated power supply is fixed. Might have been a long video. Might have been a lot of commentary that you didn't really care for. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. That's funny as heck. This is the Micronta. I guess it's Micronta, which is sold by Radio Shack. Can't see it now. It's a 12-volt regulated power supply, so it does work. We fixed it. We replaced the. All right, we replaced the. Oh, come here. There we go. We replaced the driver transistor, the diode, which was bad, and the capacitor. We didn't really have to change the capacitor, but we did it anyway, and I'm going to throw it away, even though it probably tests good. I don't take a chance on that. This stuff's just too old to really to keep around. But anyway, our Micronta power, our thing is repaired, and those are the components we replaced. Luckily, we didn't have to replace the main driver transistor or the main regulator. When the beginning of the video, I was kind of shocked that it had two transistors, which kind of threw me off. And the reason I said that was because I would have thought that it was going to have, let's see if I can find that transistors here. I know I've got them. Where they go? Here they go. I thought they were going to have something like, lay this down here, like this. These are 2N 3055s, which we could have made that work. This is what I thought we was going to find in there. I've had these for a while. MPJA, it's a company out of Florida. They're a great company to find some of this older stuff out of. Maybe I can get my son to put a link in there, because he puts my videos on YouTube and does all the finessing. I do my own, altering of the videos and stuff like that. Trying to try something new here shortly, but I haven't had time to sit down to play with the software. But anyway, this is what I thought we was going to find in there, probably on a board on the back side of a board somewhere. It's a transistor as well, but no, that's what threw me off. So, and I didn't really have the parts for the TIPs and stuff like that, but we got it together. Always take a little time and heat sink that stuff. People don't really take time to do that, and if you heat sink the stuff, to be honest with you, it will work out so much better. It kind of gives you a little extra transfer of heat, so you have that, and I would spend the time to do that. And always replace those isolators back between there, because sometimes they get older, they get scraped or scratched, and you put it back together, next thing you know, you pop the breaker or something like that, or so always try to replace those isolators as well. I've got a whole bunch of stuff I've pulled from other units. They're just isolators. I would replace those too, and like I said, make sure you heat sink, compound everything, and make sure everything, you know, that would make everything, at least I would think, last a little longer because you got better transfer of heat. But sorry for taking such a long time on this video, but you know, we got her fixed. Thanks to a buddy of mine who said to look at the diode. I never even thought about looking at the diode because I know diodes can go bad, but since that's a black case geranium, I guess he's probably right. Where my other is, where the other was a glass, and that kind of threw me off. Now this is a 1N2744A. I put a 1N47. I hope I said that right the first one. I put a 1N20. I keep saying 24. A 1N because I'm used to the 27s. 1N4744A was what was in here. I put a 1N4744 just without the A. It still worked fine. But anyway, that's our video, and thanks for watching.